The Immortal Hulk, issue number 25. Parl sails the black in search of color. The cabin of the far sail is alive with chroma, all the permitted hues glowing and twinkling, cerise shimmering into cyan, magenta bleeding to a deep gold. Parl's own membrane pulses in response, glittering sunstones deep in soft, rich aqua. Her nucleus waxes and wanes, revolving slowly inside the gel of her underskeleton. Her manipulators pass through the magnetic fields of the controls once, then twice, reading their patterns, confirming what is already known. There is no color here. No stars remain to shine. No planets hold life. All is destroyed. These worlds are broken. All the worlds are broken. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. Once the observer's birth tacked to the starlight, intricate pseudo-minds choreographing its motions as it danced through the orbit of planets. Now there is no dance, no planets, no star. The minds reach for data that no longer exists, and the birth drifts, listless, a maimed thing. It makes docking easier, but still, Parl is careful. Should the lamina suffer damage during the linking process, there can be no repair. Not anymore. Parl telepathically summons her manipulators, carefully arranging them in the configuration for polite greeting to a superior. The etiquette is very important. It is all they have left. Parl and Faris were lovers once. Faris lifts her head, and her nucleus revolves once, spiraling through the permitted hues in greeting. Parl responds an instant too slow, betraying her awkwardness. Sealed tight in herself, Parl has a moment to wonder if Faris feels the loss of the past as keenly before contact is made. Now we two are one. Yes, we two. Parl regrets the thought as soon as it crosses to the shared mind space. They were lovers once, but it takes more than two to love. Donnell was their bond-maker, guiding them together, firmly, carefully, opening them all to one another, forming the triune, creating the communion. Donnell was the space where love could be. But Donnell fell to the breaker apart. The memory is vivid, a membrane torn open by vacuum, crystals cracked and silent, love drained of all hues save for one. The memory is green. Please, please, my own pain is too much as is. We must think of our duties. Parl shrinks from the reflected sorrow. Regret becomes shame. Yes, our duties. What have you observed out here? I know we can't get close to it, but did you see it? Is there... Can the creature be stopped? No, Parl. No, it cannot be stopped. It will never stop making us pay. For what, I do not know. Come, I have made something for you. The tiding eggs pulse erratically in their creche, as the energies of the birth flicker and fail. Growing the larvae inside to maturity has become all but impossible. That even one remains viable is a tribute to Faris's skill. Parl directs the thoughts outward, an attempt to breach the gulf between them. A failure. Viable is no longer adequate. What use are tidings in the broken age? We know the tidings already. This is a warning for those who do not. The ovum seems to shudder as Faris gently tears it free. The black chitin that coats the shell as it hardens is too lustrous, too potent. Parl feels her membrane contract, as if in premonition. Tiding flies are bred for communication across distance, across light centuries, if need be. Thus they move not only across space, but against time. They make their endless journeys to arrive at the exact point in time they left behind, but never before that point. The egg feels grotesque, heavy with corruption, obscene in power. Parl flashes cold blue as understanding comes. In her loneliness, cut off from all contact, from all hope, Ferris has not been breeding tiding flies, but engineering them. You have made an abomination. The thought is cold and barbed, scratching the skin of their shared space, but it cannot be dismissed. I have done what is necessary. To send word before it is thought, to place knowledge in a time before it is known. This could wipe time away. It could break what is. What is has already been broken, and we must leave the warning. Record as much as you can. Send it as far as you can. Ferris, you cannot ask this of me. I do not ask. With that thought, Ferris severs the connection. The break is violent. The ending is final. As the far sail slips free from the berth, Parl examines the dark egg in her grip, nervous at the weight of it. Necessary, Ferris called it. Parl must return to the birth world, report what has been done. This warning, this weapon, cannot be kept hidden. To alter what has been, to wipe away what is, these things surely cannot be necessary. Surely it is not too late. Behind the far sail, the colors of the birth flicker and die, one by one. Final. Time passes. The far sail tacks through the endless night. It skims the edges of singularities, dark patches of sundered space where stars once shone. There are more of them of late, but still the journey takes too long. Parl's membrane ripples, distorting with a suppressed anxiety. It's not too late. Surely not too late. But what if it is? What if the last star is dead? What if the final world is broken? What if the far sail emerges from the last jump into darkness and silence? What if there is truly no color left? What if Parl dies, slowly, as Forrest died, alone in the dark? What if? And then the journey ends, and the approach to Alos begins. The beauty of Alos is without end and without limit. The chromatic seas boil and writhe, heavy with meaning and memory and life, flowing like song around the sterile places of knowing. Above, the crystal superstructures of the moons dance in their intricate lockstep, shimmering with the reflected hues. And far beyond, the great home star shines. Parl feels her crystals pulse and resonate in harmony with the ebbs and flows of the birth world, the first and final world. And yet, the weapon Forrest made is dark and heavy, and the thought will not escape her mind. What if it's too late? So Parl turns. There is a single light out in the black, a light no child of Alos would ever make. The forbidden color shines in the empty sky. When Parl remembers death, the memory is green. It was always too late. And the breaker of worlds is here at last. Parl has never seen the breaker apart. It flexes a distended cavern of thick, opaque skin, ringed by mountains of osseous tissue. Set into that hideous contingent, twin pools of green burning like inverted suns, portals to some unknown horror waiting after death, the death it brings. Two vast structures of viridian flesh bulge obscenely as they rotate at hideous angles from the central mass. The creature is unlike anything that lives in this cosmos, and yet Parl knows it well. This is what all have feared since time began. The grotesque legend that murdered color and light. Where the green shadow falls, life ends in terror and pain. And now that shadow falls across Alos. The soft ethereal tones of the glittering moons warp and distort, shrieking as they shatter. The domes of knowledge burst and fail. Millennia of science, of striving, of song and sorrow, all wiped from being. 9 billion living souls are extinguished, membranes rupture, nuclei shatter like spun glass. Biology becomes physics. A world's color burns out and fades, consumed, gone. There is no sound. Parl thinks of a pattern of blue and gold on a decorative walkway, glimpsed once, never forgotten. Of the harmonies her birth triad sang at her crib, of the tang of the southern sea, and the glowing bellies of the skimmers that swam and mated across the surface, of a world of beauty without end and without limit. But such memories are no longer true. They cannot be. In the way her people understand truth, all evidence for them is gone, so the memories are broken. Alos is broken. Life is broken. All is broken. And the breaker of worlds has noticed her grief. Twin tracks of green flame cast their flickering light across the far sail. Parl freezes. The color of death sweeps across the cabin. The vast constellation of meat and bone shifts, rippling and twitching. Parl does not understand what the breaker apart is doing. There is no frame of reference. Parl has never seen a face before. Parl has never seen a smile. The ovum in Parl's grasp rustles and clicks. The shell throbs dark and malignant. The tiding fly is listening. Parl called it abomination. Now the word has no meaning. All life is broken. All memories are fiction. There is no longer anything to be saved, only knowledge to be gathered. Parl secures a manipulator for contact and jettisons it. A piece of herself flies toward the too solid flesh of the breaker apart, a means of communication. The tiding fly listens, shifting in its shell, as contact is made. Parl expects a monstrous alien presence, a burning fire of green rage. But there is nothing. The breaker apart is hollow. Any soul it had is gone. Instead, a vast abyss seems to open beneath her mind, beneath everything, below all. Parl is a water drop tumbling into an endless well, but still the question must be asked. Why? I am the one below all. With these hands I break. With this mouth I howl. I devoured the selves that were here in a time long past. Now there is I, and only I. I am all-powerful, and my weapon is hate. I have made of this a thing of hate, a hollow shell, a hulk. The mystery frightens and disgusts me. I will kill it, make all hollow as I, dead and dark as I, and I will be alone. Alone. The connection breaks. Parl breaks with it. Her membrane ruptures, and the inner fluid begins to leak, filling the Farsail's cabin with a sickly sweet smell. Outside, the breaker of worlds looks to the home star, and the array of meat pistons jutting from its body stir and writhe. Scale is meaningless to it. It will be as large as it must. In what is left of her disintegrating intelligence, Parl understands what it is doing. The breaker apart is taking the star in its hands. They are called hands. It is her last thought. Her remaining manipulators flex and spasm, as if in sympathy, and the shell cracks. The tiding fly is born from death, from the clutching of the manipulators as their host body collapses internally. It lifts its head, heavy with hideous knowledge, and then the vast life in the cosmos vanishes on a journey 10 billion years deep, and only the breaker of worlds is left, alone with what is broken. The last star flashes green as it begins to die. In the far past, the knowledge is delivered to eyes that understand it. Yet there is no wave of change, no reordering of events, no wiping away of what is. What is remains broken. Color is broken. Light is broken. All is broken. In the dead, deep dark, an immortal hawk tears the last star from the sky and is alone. And I'll be back when the morn is new, and I'll have more ideas for you, and you'll have things you'd like to do, and I will too.